fans, so glad you made it to another episode of This Week in the Blues. We have a good one for you. I'm your host, Jimbo Big Train Madsen with Big Train and the Locomotives. So let's take a look at what happened this week in blues history. Let's start off with a bit of Hendrix history. On July 2nd, 1962, Jimi Hendrix is honorably discharged from the Army after serving a little over a year of his 3-year commitment. The reason for his discharge is unsuitability, as his superiors agreed he will never be a good soldier, in part because he's more interested in his guitar than his rifle. Texas blues and soul singer Lavelle White was born July 3rd, 1929 in Amite City, Louisiana. White's talents as a songwriter and singer were well known in 1950s Houston, where she recorded several singles for the Duke Peacock labels. In the late 50s, her label mates included Bobby Blue Bland, B.B. King, and Junior Parker. After performing most of her adult life, White released 3 albums, the first which was issued in 1994 when she was 65 years old. On July 4th, in 1943, Alan Blind Owl Wilson was born. He's best known as the co-founder, leader, co-singer, and primary composer of the blues band Canned Heat. Wilson was the lead singer for the group's 2 biggest U.S. hit singles, On the Road Again and Going Up to the Country. Wilson was interested in the blues as a teenager and became an expert on early blues artists such as Charlie Patton, Robert Johnson, and Skip James. In 1964, he was brought in to reteach Son House how to play the songs he had recorded previously in his 1930 and 1942 sessions. John Lee Hooker said of Wilson that he was the greatest harmonica player ever. New Orleans blues and boogie-woogie pianist Champion Jack Dupree was born on July 4th in 1910 in New Orleans. His nickname was derived from his early career as a boxer. Dupree often injected his lyrics with a rowdy sense of home-down humor, but there was nothing lighthearted about his rock-solid way with a boogie. When he shouted, "Shake, baby, shake," the entire room had no choice but to get up and dance. Happy birthday to maybe the unluckiest musician in New Orleans. I'm talking about rhythm and blues singer and guitarist Smiley Lewis, who was born on July 5th in 1913. I say that because he was stuck in the shadow of Fats Domino, never to get the national recognition he deserved. For example, he was the first to record Blue Monday in 1954, and then Fats Domino came along and had a hit with the same song 2 years later. In 1955, he achieved his biggest sales with I Hear You Knockin', the first recording of the song. But again, along came Fats Domino, who had a huge hit with the song a little bit later. July 7th is the birthday of blues piano maestro Pinetop Perkins, born in 1913. Perkins began as a guitarist, but a mid-1940s encounter with an enraged chorus girl toting a knife left him with severed tendons in his left arm. That dashed his piano aspirations and concentrated solely on piano from that point on. Perkins had traveled to Helena, Arkansas, playing on the King Biscuit Time radio show. He eventually settled in Chicago and replaced Otis Spann in Muddy Waters Band, where he would spend more than a decade. In 2010, he collaborated with Willie Big Eye Smith for the album Joined at the Hip, which won a Grammy for the Best Traditional Blues Album, giving Perkins the status of oldest Grammy winner ever. Blues pianist Johnny Johnson was born on July 8th back in 1924. Johnson had a band called Sir John Trio, and on New Year's Eve in 1953, a little-known guitarist named Chuck Berry joined them. Soon afterward, Berry took over as a group songwriter, frontman, and guitar player. For 28 years, Johnson's rhythmic piano playing was a key element in all of Berry's hits, a good number of which Johnson arranged. Johnson is widely regarded to be the inspiration for one of Berry's biggest hits, Johnny Be Good. He would go on and play and record with, among others, Eric Clapton, Bo Diddley, George Thorogood, and Aerosmith. Well, blues fans, we just covered some of the highlights here. If you want to know more about these artists or other things that happened this week in the blues, be sure to follow our social media pages or just go visit our website at bigtrainblues.com. We'll have a new episode next week. and we'll hope to see you then.